Hey everybody, it's Shang from Save My Sense. I coach you all how to become retired millionaires, and today I'm going to share how I helped one of my coaching clients save $6,000 a month in spending. Let's get started. I'm gonna call her by the name of Janet. I give all of my clients a pseudonym just to help protect their identity. And Janet is part of a married couple, and both she and her husband are in their late 30s. And in their household, they have two school aged children. So, for context, these are children under the age of 12. So, I also want to celebrate the fact that Janet is the high earner and the breadwinner in this family. In fact, her husband is a stay at home parent. And over the years, Janet, her job, which is a very well paid industry, has jumped from $150,000 in her salary to nearly $300,000 in salary. But as a result, they've also inflated their lifestyle and they're now up to $18,000 of spending a month. If Janet wanted to work all the way up until retirement age, this is not an issue. It's not unusually high for a family with this much earning power. But Janet actually wanted to be able to retire early. And so that actually means that if you want to retire early, you need to lower your expenses, increase your income, save and invest that difference, and then be able to keep your lifestyle from inflating so that once you wish to retire early, you're not running out of savings in doing so. And I don't blame Janet for wanting to have a nice lifestyle, because let's dig a little bit deeper into what actually makes up her expenses. So, for her total monthly expenses of $18,000, of that, $5,700 comes from the home that they own. That's actually not unusual. For where they are living, a family sized home, if you're looking at the all in mortgage, property taxes, insurance, utilities, and maintenance, $5,700 is right about in line for where they are living, which is an expensive part of the United States. On top of that, they also pay separately for a life insurance policy and then also for copays and out of pocket expenses for things ranging from braces, contacts, lashes, visit copays. That together is about another $600 a month. Pretty normal for a family of this size. They have about $1,100 a month that's set aside for children's activities. This includes babysitting, sports for their school age children, some tutoring. For a well to do family, again, this is something that I have seen pretty normal for families of this size. Then we go on to their basics expenses. This would be groceries, your basic hygiene, your toilet paper, your soap, paying for your internet, paying for your phones. That's about $1,800. And then next up, we have their cars. Now, Janet does have a car payment. And it's actually one car is almost completely paid off, and then another car they got more recently, so that's still being paid off. Those car payments, as well as the uh, gas, the insurance, and maintenance together, all sum up to $1,700. And part of the coaching with me was that I'm actually going to help Janet be able to cash flow buying her next car so that she wouldn't have to be subject to car payments. Then finally, the largest category of all is nice to have, which they're spending about $7,200 a month. Janet has a pretty decent net worth already. In fact, between her and her husband, if you look at all of their cash, their real estate, which is includes the home that they live in, they also have stock investments, which is mostly a result of them investing via retirement, their retirement funds. They also have a home that they rent out. Everything all together, and once you subtract the car loans and the mortgage that they actually have $2 million in net worth, which in my mind is very incredible and should be celebrated. $2 million is nothing to sneeze at. It puts them in a very high, well to do category amongst all Americans. Typically, what I do with my coaching clients is that I do a first pass forecast where I hold their expenses constant and their income. I also hold it constant. I grow everything in line with inflation, and then I see when they would reach the ability to retire. If Janet and her husband continue with their current level of spending, they would be able to comfortably retire at this level of lifestyle in their 60s, which is when most Americans expect to retire. But here's the thing, Janet doesn't want to wait until her 60s. Janet wants to be able to retire in her 40s in order to be there for her children while they're still with her in her home. She wants to be able to cuddle them and take care of them, be there for all of their appointments, and watch them grow up. She doesn't want to spend that much more time working, and quite frankly, she's also kind of burned out. So, how are we going to change the situation? I calculated that it's going to take about a $6,000 a month reduction in their spending to really accelerate how much money that they're going to be able to put away and invest and have Janet retire in her 40s. But in order to do that, I need to understand what's driving Janet's spending. And for everybody that I work with in private coaching, I do ask this question where I dive into somebody's childhood, how you grew up with money, to understand your relationship with money. Now, Janet's parents loved her. There is nothing abusive, nothing terrible about her upbringing, but the issue with her parents is that her parents had their own issues. Her father lived paycheck to paycheck and unfortunately died young. Her mother liked to gamble, and when her mother had gambling winnings, she would then spend that money on lots of things, including vacations. Janet herself received love from her parents through the form of nice things. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that Janet's parents were financially well off, but they showed their affection through material items. And that also makes it hard for Janet herself now as a mother to not hold back on spending on her children. She wants her children to also have a nice upbringing. So that's where you're seeing a lot of the $7,200 in nice to have spending. That's usually eating out, nice vacations. Janet often talks about the fact that when they eat out, they don't even take the leftovers home. They have made it a pretty the common habit is for them to eat out almost every day when they feel like it. And then when they travel, there is not much research when it comes to saving on money. Just, buy the plane ticket, get the hotel, and go. And entertainment, taking kids to fun places, amusement parks, it's all, yeah, you do it. And that's where a lot of that extra spending comes from. And so I challenged Janet on this idea and I said, you can be a fantastic mother, fantastic parent, both her and her husband, without spending a ton on everything. I bet you that what your children are looking for is probably your presence. They just want their parents to be around. They want to have a good time with their parents, but that doesn't mean that it has to be super fancy or anything of that sort. So I gave Janet about a month to try some of this out. And I asked her to just come back to me and see how things go. And Janet tells me this. We realized that we still have a lot of fun, spend quality time with our children without eating out every day. We just went on a weekend trip out of town. We focused on doing low-cost activities, and our kids still had a lot of fun. These months have been really eye-opening, and we're excited to share that we reduced our spending by $6,000 a month, but we still don't feel like we're being restricted. The purpose in my private coaching is that I help you find what it is that your money is going to accomplish for you. What are the goals? What are the values that are most important to you? That's where you put your money. That's where you put your time. Janet realized that getting to being work optional earlier mattered so much more than eating out every day or splurging on nice vacations. And once that was in alignment, reducing her spending did not feel like a burden. It did not feel like a restrictive exercise because she knew what it was for. And that's where my style of personal finance coaching really works because we're helping you work towards your own goals, which are personal to you and they matter. So thank you for listening and following along. Definitely check out the caption for some additional details on how you can get some free downloads from my company or work with me. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Save My Sense.